Before we talk about Calm, can we just take like a quick second to talk about the $1 Million Home page?
Certainly,
because you kind of
certainly
like
can.
made a ton of money selling pixels on the internet, which should only make him legitimate as he talks about Calm. So like, take me through that.
Yeah, well, this is about 13 years ago. I was rather broke and off to university and had been working on schemes to, try and make some extra money all my life, really. And just in one late-night brainstorm, I wrote down the rather ludicrous question of how could I become a millionaire before going to university? And this is like 2 weeks away from university, so I was just messing around. And then I thought, well, what if I sold 1 million pixels for $1 each on a one-page website, and maybe it's so silly that it would get some attention. And if it got some attention, maybe some people would buy some of these pixels, and that's exactly what happened. So I launched it. Took a day or two to make. It was so simple, basically an empty web page. And in 4 months, it had made a million bucks, which is very different to what I'm doing now.
I was about to say, so then you were like, oh, now I know how to make so much money, so I'm going to launch like a money-making meditation app in 2012.
That is true. We do make money, but
But back in 2012, I just can't really see, the market being a place where everyone's like, we really need a meditation app called Calm. So take me to that transition and what made you guys decide to launch Calm back before we were all talking about our minds being hijacked by our smartphones.
Totally, yeah. So, I started meditating when I was a teenager, and it'd been, transformative for myself. But everyone I mentioned it to, my friends and family, they thought it was weird. And I was like, no, it's not. Trust me, you should do it. Like, read this book or listen to this guided audio CD. And I didn't have any takers, so I thought, this really should be a website. At the time, mobile apps didn't really exist, and this should be a website. And so I actually built a prototype of this webpage that would guide you through some basic exercises, and that was in 2005. But it never got off the ground. I was broke, so I just sort of shelved that idea. But it was sort of percolating for many, many years, and then in 2012, got together with my co-founder and the other co-CEO, Michael Acton-Smith, and we'd been talking about this idea of making a meditation app and helping bring meditation to a whole new set of people who otherwise wouldn't be interested. And then we thought it would be important to have a good name and to make it really accessible in the design. It would have to be beautiful, and we'd have to present it in a way that people could feel that it wasn't weird, And so that's what we did. And in 2012, it was tough to raise the first investment that we needed to start the company. Not many investors were too keen, at least in Silicon Valley, on a meditation app. It's so different to the kinds of companies that they were investing in. And it was tough to convince people to work on the project. But over time, we gradually, we got some investment, we built the team, and then now it's sort of rocketing in terms of the growth. So it's been a fun journey, but there's a real shift happening, and there are real tailwinds in the space of meditation and mindfulness, but also more broadly just health and what we call mental fitness, where the interest is the last 50 years has been sort of like a focus on physical fitness and physical exercise, and I think we're seeing this big shift now, which Calm is a part of that. Can
you give us any numbers to kind of show? You say you're now seeing kind of this exponential growth.
Yeah. So we got to our first 10 million downloads of the Calm app in just over 4 years. And then we've had our next 10 million downloads in just 8 months. So it's really rocketing. And the next 10 million will be even shorter than 8 months too. So we're adding over 2 million new users to Calm every month. And it's just, it's encouraging. It's encouraging that so many people are now really actively taking care or looking to take care of their minds.
It certainly seems like there's been a shift. I have to ask the question. I just want to read a quote. I didn't say this, but it says, if I had a quibble with Calm, Quibble, I like that.
Quibble,
So if I had
nice.
a quibble with Calm, it's that the very enemy to mindfulness it has identified, the smartphone, is its primary tool for distribution. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you get people who ask you this all the
Yeah.
time. Isn't the idea that we need to get away from our phone and we need to go near? I'm not the best at meditating, so I could be wrong, but we need to go near a stream or we need to kind of be away,
Right.
and take a second. How do you negotiate that?
Yeah, well, I think the best place to try and help people is where they're at, and people are on their phones, and so it's an amazing way to reach people. And I don't think there is really a tension when you actually dive in. We've reached 20 million people, over 20 million, and we've reached them through their phone. I'm not sure there would be another way we would have done that, And so in some ways the means justifies the ends. But I don't think the phone itself is the enemy. I think it's what we do with the phones. And Tristan was talking about how some apps are super useful, right? Calendar's great, maps are great, and some are designed to steal your attention. And Calm, I think, falls into the former camp where we're actually a useful app. And I think the other thing that is key is that all of our content is audio, really. And so you're not interfacing with the app a lot, hardly any time. You're tapping on the content that you want to listen to. So when you're actually meditating, you're not engaging with the phone. It's just like having someone in the room speaking to you. So it's not demanding your attention and time. So yeah, I don't think there's that much of attention. Who said that?
I didn't write down the person. It was from a British paper.
They're the worst.
They have the best voice.
Yeah.
I love how opinionated they can be. I wonder if there are any. So now Calm is there. There's Headspace. There are all these different ones, and so the idea is to keep getting more users. Now, when we look at entrepreneurs and we look at building successful products, Tristan's talked about this a lot. There are certain things you can do to make people keep coming back, to almost have these tempting product decisions that lead to addiction to this app, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. So I'm sure it's tempting for you guys, and there are certain product decisions you could make to get more users and to get people to be more engaged, but that would be directly against the intention of the user who wants to be able to meditate. So have there been any product decisions that you guys have chosen not to make in order to make sure you're in line with the intention of the people using your product?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we think about this all the time. How do we strike the balance between, enticing people in to use Calm and to meditate at the same time as not overwhelming them or annoying them or stealing their attention? And so we don't use much in the way of push notifications. You can opt in to a daily reminder with Calm, and each day you get a different tip, but it's very much like, we're not pushing things out. We wait for people to come to Calm when they're ready. We use email and social media and things, but I think one example in terms of the product decision, we have this idea of streaks. So if you meditate 2 days in a row, you're on a 2-day streak. If you meditate 10 days in a row, you're on a 10-day streak. And most of the Calm users enjoy that idea of being able to get onto a streak, and they're meditating on a regular basis. And but we do hear that some people, when they at least lose their streak, get unhappy, and it's a real tension, because we know that it motivates a good portion of our users, and there are some people who, it can upset if they lose their streak, and so we keep streaks. But recently we've been thinking, how can we do it more mindfully? So one example is, rather than losing a streak, we're going to shift it so you complete a streak, and it's like, well done, just present it in a more
Instead of like you're failing.
Yeah, you haven't lost a streak. You've completed, amazing. You've done 30 days in a row. That's great. Let's start doing it again when you can. So, there are definitely things we do that we try and use to motivate people to meditate. But I think it's better than motivating people just to check mindlessly a feed. So.
What trends have you found have worked? Obviously, there's been a lot of iterations of the app throughout the years. So what are you seeing people are doing the most of? What's interesting to you?
Yeah, so we started out, focused purely really on meditation. And in the last couple of years, we've actually broadened out our offering. So we found that, meditation for a lot of people was great and transformative, as it can be. But we saw in the data that a lot of people struggle to build that habit. It's something that requires practice and commitment to get the benefit from. And so, we started thinking, well, what can we offer that's not meditation but still, allows people to bring mindfulness into their day? And we had seen that sleep was a big motivation for people coming to Calm. They have poor sleep or trouble getting to sleep. So we actually created a feature called Sleep Stories, which are bedtime stories, but really for adults. And it sounds almost ludicrously simple, but it's been probably the biggest area of growth aside from meditation.
Wow. What kind of story? I mean, sleep stories for adults. I mean,
Yeah,
what does that look like?
but the thing is, they're super effective because when you're trying to get to sleep, the sort of your inner dialogue can keep you awake, right? And so some people listen to podcasts or or audiobooks, but those are often very, very interesting. And with sleep stories, they're less interesting. They're still interesting, at least at the start, but
So you tell a mediocre story?
we tell a mediocre story.
Let's have a go. Try it.
Oh,
Everyone, close your eyes. We're about to tell you a mediocre story.
Actually, my co-founder, Michael, he could do one. He actually recorded one. I haven't yet, so I'll leave that to him. But no, we actually have exceptional voice talent. So there's a famous guy in the UK, I think he's relatively well-known here, called Stephen Fry. And he reads a sleep story about the lavender fields of Provence, and he takes you through this journey. And they start, with sort of being more upbeat and interesting. And as the story goes on, the words become elongated. There's more space between them, and you sort of drift off. And it's been super, super exciting. Now 5 million sleep stories were listened to in January.
Wow.
So we're helping people to sleep. And then a couple of other features. We launched.
They're laughing. They're not laughing at you. They're laughing with you.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Good. We launched Calm Music, so the best collection of calming music, which we've composed ourselves, and then Masterclass, Calm Masterclass, which is sort of different experts talking about applying mindfulness in your daily life. So the first masterclass in January was about breaking bad habits and how to use mindfulness to do that. And the expert there was a guy called Judson Brewer, who's a psychiatrist and addiction expert. So we've kind of broadened out from just teaching meditation, and now we have all these different features and pieces of content that can help people bring mindfulness and calm into their lives.
How do you view the competition? Because you have Headspace, which has something like $75 million in venture capital money. You guys haven't raised nearly as much. I almost feel weird saying competition when it comes to meditation apps, because I feel like you guys all just meditate and feel and hope positive things for each other. But you're also building out, these hopefully multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar businesses.
Right.
So how do you view competition like Headspace?
Yeah, Headspace have done a fantastic job. I think Andy is a brilliant teacher. I think that, I think the competition is good. I think it's good for the world that there are multiple apps that appeal to people in different ways. I think there's a saying that a rising tide raises all ships, and I think that's true in the meditation space because, Headspace and Calm and other apps are just familiarizing people with meditation, which is great. And there are lots of people who use, Calm and Headspace and other apps, for different reasons. So I think that what they're doing is great. I think that we have a slightly different take on things and have a slightly different offering. But I think, competition is healthy.
Where do you see this going in, say, 5 years? Are we even still going to be using apps? Are we all going to be in augmented reality places where we're all meditating together? I don't know. What does the future look like for
Actually,
you guys?
that idea is not far off. I think there is something really interesting in synchronous meditations done through the internet. Maybe VR and AR will play a part of that. I think those platforms are pretty early. So I think the apps will be around. But really, I think we think about Calm as primarily audio. That's our output, and we're excited by the proliferation of audio-based devices like Alexa and Google Home and other things like that because they just sort of fit seamlessly into your environment rather than kind of being another screen. But I think in the future, VR and AR are definitely really interesting.
Explain, so what could that look like with these operating systems? So with Alexa, in the morning Alexa would be able to guide us in all these different ways? I mean, she's our new Calm teacher.
Yeah, so I think it's just, right now Alexa and Google Home, they sort of wait for you to sort of ask the devices, for content. But I think what'll be interesting is when they learn to give you content at the right moment and suggest it. So if you're feeling stressed and unhappy, maybe those devices could actually suggest a meditation. But it's early days. I think the market is still growing for those devices, and we're just keeping a close eye on it.
How about physical spaces? Do you guys see yourselves opening up like calm, I don't know, hotels? Or am I just giving you all these ideas
This is
and
great.
you
I
can
need
give
a
me a
notepad,
cut?
yeah.
But I don't know. Will
Yeah.
there be like physical, because you talk about mental fitness almost being like physical fitness was, and you had these apps, but you have Nike stores, you have all these physical
Yeah.
spaces. So
Yeah, well, I think what Nike has done for physical fitness over the last 50 years is pretty amazing. Popularizing athleticism and movement, and we like to think of Calm perhaps one day being like the Nike for the mind. It's sort of an internal phrase we have, and perhaps that means we would have physical spaces, like places people could go, maybe sanctuaries in cities. My co-founder is pretty intent on buying an island and calling it Calm Island at one point.
Oh.
But
I think a lot of people would need to go to that island right now at this current moment in time.
I think that we see the future of Calm being more than just an app. Definitely there are lots of moments in a day where products or services that could be great. I mean, we launched basically a sleep mist last year, which is essential oil sort of base product where you spray on your pillow at night. It's a beautiful scent. And the idea is that you'd spray your pillow and hear a sleep story about.
I was about to say, hear your adult bedtime
the lavender
story.
fields of Provence. And so we like that idea of like, can we create new rituals where Calm, the app, can be used with physical products too, and those could be great reminders. And there's definitely more to be done there. So.
We have to wrap up because it's saying please be mindful of time. So now, especially with the Calm founder, I can't not do that. But I do want to say, I can imagine building a business, even if it's like a meditation app, which is all based on kind of peace of mind and mindfulness, has got to be challenging at times. So what do you tell yourself on your worst days, on your most challenging days? I mean, do you just like fire up the app and meditate a lot? Or how do you as an entrepreneur deal with some of the darker moments and the times that aren't calm?
Well, meditation has been a major factor for me, and also having great team around. My co-founder and the team we have at Calm are just fantastic. So that helps a lot. I think in the early days were harder, to be honest, because there was just no interest in what we were doing. Not really, just a very little bit. Now it's obviously growing fast. So meditating is important, and physical exercise and eating healthy, all those things. But if in doubt, open the Calm app.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Cheers.
it.
Thanks.